The primary goal of the ancient yogic wisdom traditions is mostly focused around the spiritual awakening. Yet, also 1,000 years ago, human beings were interested in vitality and a healthy life. So they used also yoga for that. We even find, for example, dark room retreats, which are called Kaya Kalpa, ageless body. And it is known as a rejuvenation technique in Ayurveda.
Action!
Welcome to the Spirit of Yoga, a new episode of a solo podcast, Teach It, where we will explore transformative journeys to India, bridging between the ancient Indian wisdom and modern techniques of life coaching, bringing together the best of the good old days with the modern innovation and strategies to upgrade our lives with yogic hacks. So, we look deeper into practical applications of this ancient wisdom tradition. We explore how it can actually have an impact on our modern daily life. How these traditional teachings are not just conservative, dusty, outdated story and fairy tales, but how we can reinterpret them and make them actually meaningful and practically useful for our modern life circumstances. This comes under the headline of yogic life coaching. So, the modern innovative strategies of life coaching brought together with ancient Indian wisdom, the yogic classical modalities, which are helping us to upgrade, fine tune, and deepen our experience, which can support us to develop resilience, clarity, and strength. And we approach these two different areas of wisdom, the ancient Indian tradition and the modern life coaching. We approach it through the filters of these two eyes. So I will share some personal insights from my biographical explorations, both in the world of psychology and coaching, as well as in the Indian pilgrimages, in these explorations of the Asian wisdom in my own travels and adventures. So, transformative journeys is our headline of this Wisdom in Motion T-Chat, where I will share some personal insights and we connect personally from heart to heart and maybe even share a cup of tea together. So, thank you for being with us in this journey. And I trust that there will be some surprising insights and benefits coming your way, especially towards the end, where we are looking also into more practical applications of this life changing practice and journey. So, let's look at the general context of what we are talking about, and then I share some more personal stories related. So, human beings tend to preferably live a peaceful and harmonious life. They can get aggravated by certain challenges, difficulties in life, where they are overwhelmed, where we get carried away by the intensity of the difficult moments, where we get aggravated by deadlines which our work and our daily life circumstances are presenting to us. Difficult moments which bring us to the edge, which over challenge us, sometimes even overpower us, where all we want is a little peace of mind. And we actually want to go beyond that. We want to grow, unfold, and in a way live our full potential. and live up to not only outer expectations, but to our inner aspirations, living the dream and fulfilling these deepest existential desires, not just sensory satisfaction of pleasures, but going also into this deeper aspect of a meaningful life, asking existential questions and going beyond the surface. So, this quest for meaning can be addressed by yogic coaching. So, a possibility is, in a way, in demand. How can I go deeper? So, human beings have been searching for this, not only for the last years, where life coaching became widespread and vocally engaged, interested, where people are looking for these modalities, such as coaching and other alternative practices. But this is a human rooted existential quest to go beyond the surface, in a way, to make the best of our life, to go beyond the surface. So, life coaching offers such a promise to find deep and profound transformation. And depending on the context of the coaching, that can be more on the shallow side, on the daily life side, on the practical applied side. It could be a sports coaching, it could be a relationship coaching, it could be a business executive leadership coaching. But there are also forms of life coaching which are more holistic, which take into account the entire being, integrated and balanced perspective on our entire existence. So, this holistic, integrated life coaching might include not only my mindset, but also my body and physical well being. It might incorporate my emotional maturity. It might include even also topics of not only motivation, but a deeper purpose and meaning in life. What do I really want? What really matters in my life? How can I go beyond running after this carrot and the next fashion trend? How can I live a fulfilled life? How can I find strength to tackle the next challenge? How can I find peace in these disruptive and overwhelmingly intense times? So, such questions can be approached in a holistic form of life coaching. And what we are developing here in the Akasha Yoga Academy is a yogic life coaching, where we bring together the best of this modern life coaching technology, these innovative strategies for upgrading our lifestyle. We bring together the best of life coaching with the ancient Indian yoga tradition. And what we are discovering is that the ancient yogis were confronted with surprisingly similar problems. Yes, on the surface, very different life circumstances they had X hundred, X thousand years ago, of course. But the psychology of humanity has been surprisingly continuous, remained unchanged. Envy, jealousy, and anger, and all the other emotions of attraction and aversion have been around not only for centuries but for millennia. Gautama Buddha spoke about these topics 2,500 years ago. In the Bhagavad Gita, we find references more than 2,500 years ago on those exact topics. So the message is that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can learn from those ancient wisdom traditions. We can get inspired by the solutions which they offered. We can benefit from this time-proven wisdom. We can upgrade our own lifestyle with ancient wisdom. We can incorporate these pearls of wisdom from the good old days into our modern, cutting-edge lifestyle technologies. Talking about that topic, the interesting thing is that the modern context provides us with trends of regeneration, revitalization, even rejuvenation. The biohackers who are looking for longevity are very much trending these days. And modern technology like wearables, bio-tracking, biofeedback devices help us to optimize our physical well-being. The interesting and surprising thing is that in many ways, the ancient yogis were the biohackers of the good old times. They were cultivating exactly those modalities which helped them back then already to achieve their aspirations for a vital, healthy, and in a way energized life. So both in yoga and in the sister science of yoga, Ayurveda, we find a variety of modalities, techniques, and practices which help us to upgrade our vitality. In yoga, for example, asanas such as the sitting forward bend, Paschimottanasana, candle pose, Sarvangasana, the upside down position of the shoulder stand, and many other techniques like this are known to promote regeneration, revitalization, and even rejuvenation. For example, the shoulder stand, with its strong forward fold in the neck area, helps to activate the thyroid gland. When the thyroid gland is happy and activated, then it is beneficial for the immune system. When the immune system is working well, it is good for our vitality and longevity. The yogis knew about that almost 1,000 years ago, maybe longer. So it's like an ancient yoga therapy, which was not the primary goal of ancient yoga, but still it was cultivated. The primary goal of the ancient yogic wisdom traditions is mostly focused around the spiritual awakening. Yet, also 1,000 years ago, human beings were interested in vitality and a healthy life. So they used also yoga for that. And especially when there are the overlaps with the medicine of Ayurveda, the sister science of yoga, where we even find, for example, dark room retreats, which are called Kaya Kalpa. The literal translation of Kaya Kalpa is ageless body or timeless body. And it is known as a rejuvenation technique in Ayurveda. And there's legendary, maybe slightly exaggerated stories. In some references, we find even mysterious claims that after 7 weeks or more in such a darkroom retreat, people would grow back their teeth. I'm not 100% sure if that's really possible, but definitely I can speak from experience and share with you that it is very regenerative and very restorative. We kind of go in a hibernation mode. So what is happening in one of those Kaya Kalpa darkroom retreats? The beginning of it is very much characterized by a lot of sleep, because the reality is that we tend to have a lot of sleep deprivation. We more or less have a deficit in our sleep. And the preparation for such a meditation retreat tends to also require some additional efforts. To be able to go offline for extended periods requires not only out of office autoresponders in our email, but wrapping up a variety of other projects before I can disappear for a few days or even weeks. So once all this preparation is done, we arrive in this dark room. And then is, of course, the question what to do there. And because it's so pitch dark, it's kind of a bit boring on the first view, we would say, as a beginner. And yes, we meditate a bit, but then in a way, we just get tired also because it's so dark and it seems to be night, apparently. Or I don't even know if it's day or night anymore. So I just sleep. And then I don't even know when I wake up because no alarm clock and no obligations and no sunshine to wake me up. So first of all, I take a very long good night's rest. And then maybe I anyhow wake up because of my circadian rhythm and so on. But then I don't know is it now 6 or 9 hours or 12 hours passed in the first, second day. So I don't know, feel a bit tired. So I take another nap. Why not? And then I don't know how long that nap was. Was it 20 minutes or 3 hours? I'm not so sure. And then I definitely don't know the time of day and night anymore. And then sooner or later I get tired again, and then I go to bed as if it would be night, but I don't even know if it's day or night. And then I have another long sleep, and I don't know how long I slept when I woke up. You get the point. So the body then intuitively catches up with the previous sleep deprivation, and we're kind of topping up our old deficits. So that in itself is hugely restorative, hugely beneficial for our regeneration. There's a saying in many languages, sleep is the best medicine. That's kind of folk wisdom, standard human experience, which we have discovered over the generations, that if we give ourselves sufficient rest, then the body has the time and space, has the energy and attention to recover, to restore itself, to mobilize its self-healing abilities. If we only create the proper conditions. If only we would stop running around like a chicken without the head, hyperactivism. Finally. Finally, we give ourselves a break. And an extended break. Not just for a few breaths and minutes, not just for a few hours, but a few days. And maybe even a few weeks. It's best to start such a darkroom retreat, first of all, with some other meditation experience, some regularity in one's meditation practice. Maybe having joined a silent meditation retreat in a group setting, a weekend retreat, or something of that type. But not just an entertainment retreat, but preferably a silent meditation retreat, where we also get used to the dedicated practice. And maybe the preparation could be even a 10-day silent meditation group retreat without darkness, just a regular meditation retreat. So we get accustomed to intensified meditation practice. So we also kind of know what to do in meditation. And we have a lot of time then in the darkroom retreat to practice that meditation on our own. So some preparation like this can be helpful, but it's not a prerequisite. You can also just go for it into such a dark room. And recommendable is to start with something like 2 days, 3 days. Sufficient to sleep a lot and then already over. Nice. Don't worry about the claustrophobia and this. So it's usually, we worry in advance more than it actually turns out. Not a big deal. It's quite an interesting adventure, no doubt. How to organize practicalities of food, eating, washing, all in pitch dark. It's quite exciting. And in a way, a special experience to have. But If it's just a 2-3 days thing, it's not so scary as it seems and as it sounds, as your mind would try to be worried about. So come to Bali, for example. Our friends here in their retreat center, they have a little dark room. And regularly students, participants who come to our courses, they make the experiment. And there's another retreat center, which also offers more professional darkroom retreats for a bit more longer term. So there's many options. If you search for them, other friends of mine in a small island in Thailand, they build also earth bag domes, purpose built for darkroom retreats. That's where I did most of mine. In northern Thailand is a very fancy, luxurious place called Tao Garden by Mantak Chia. Very pricey, but with full equipped, you even have group darkroom retreats there. But not necessary. Start with something simple, affordable, short. Sooner or later, that might be a dream coming true. And for your body, it's definitely going to be a dream manifesting for regeneration, revitalization. I did first 3 days in the context of a 500-hour meditation teacher training, a 3-month intensive course which I took on this small island in Thailand. And I got inspired by my teacher, who had been doing a lot of extensive solitary retreats in the nature, in caves, but also darkroom retreats on a very regular basis, like once per week going for a day into a darkroom or 2 days, and longer retreats. So he inspired me to give it a try. And it was even kind of like a compulsory part of the meditation teacher training that everybody had to go 3 days in. Okay, let's do it. At the time, I was very much in practice. We were doing every month 10-day silent meditation retreats. Every month, 10 days into a group silent meditation retreat without darkness, and then 20 days out again. And we were like a dedicated crew of practitioners, like a meditation family in our yoga community, where we would just go again and next month again for a 10-day silent meditation retreat. So we were very much on a run, but not on a run, but sitting down. But we were in the flow of that. So it came very easy and was very organic, natural in that community of dedicated practitioners, where it was just the norm to go strong in such ways. And then intuitively, of course, I wanted to take it to the next level. And after the 3-day darkroom retreat in the context of this meditation teacher training, I, a few months later, decided to put another intensity challenge onto it and reserved the darkroom retreat, Earthbag Dome in the jungle for 10 days. Let's do it. I didn't know what would happen, but I was just, okay, committed. Living the life of a yogi and giving that priority. We didn't have much money at the time. I didn't have much time to earn any business job, but we were having many other fruits and pearls coming our way as benefits from these practices. So I went in for 10 days and it was a marvelous journey. I actually on purpose opted out of the daily food delivery, which my friend who's running these darkroom retreats would usually provide and bring, and kind of through a double blind door pass in the food daily. I was like, no, don't distract me like this, because then you always come at the same hour and then I wait for you and then I worry, and no, don't come, don't distract me. I'll take all my food inside so I'm independent. No, I can do my own thing. Okay, what to bring, what to take in such a dark room, how to eat there. I opted for muesli mostly. Okay, so then I pre-mixed my muesli ingredients and then, some coconut milk to put inside. But imagine if it's pitch dark. It's like all blind. So for blind people, it's a little bit easier because they're used to it. But we are usually not accommodated to this handling everything in pitch darkness. First of all, anyhow, where are my stocks and supplies? And okay, touching. Here, I think this box here is the coconut milk. And here is my bowl. And okay, let's open it carefully without spilling, without making a mess. Okay, and then okay, carefully pour it over into the bowl, not next to it. Okay, got that. And then okay, how to handle the garbage that the ants don't come in a tropical forest surrounding. Okay, let's keep it clean. Okay, and then the eating, of course, becomes a very mindful eating. It's not just about not spilling stuff and making a mess, which is difficult to clean up in darkness, but it, of course, becomes a meditation, in a way, yoga in daily life, a contemplative food ritual, like a food contemplation. And I have all the time in the world. I'm not in a rush to eat quickly. I'm not checking my phone or talking to other people while I'm eating. So things slow down and become surprisingly mindful. The awareness rises also due to this sensory deprivation. Human beings are visual creatures. 60-70% of our orientation and input comes from the eyes. And if we take that away, then the attention and sensory focus goes to the other senses. So quite interesting experiences on the practical side, of course, but also then, of course, in the meditations, going deeper. And some people have, for example, light experiences and flashy transformations and like eye-opening intensity, mind-blowing, wow, flashy aura, colors, rainbows, kaleidoscopic impressions. Many of my friends had those. I came with those expectations. In the 3-day initial first retreat, nothing. I was a bit kind of like, why not? Am I such a beginner? I was feeling a bit bad about myself in it. Okay, it was maybe a little bit of a latent motivation to go after the 3 days, go for 10 days. Okay, let me try again. Maybe in 10 days I get some light. Even in 10 days, I barely got any light. Little bit of white light, some flickering, something. Little bit, okay. But nothing compared to what many of my friends were experiencing. Might be a matter of typology, of temperament, of a more fiery character, which I consider myself actually to be, but whatever other typologies would maybe have more inclination and ease and in a way talent to have these light visions appearing. For me, none of that. Okay, fair enough. What to do? But a lot of stillness, a lot of depth and peace, a lot of emptiness in the positive spiritual sense, a lot of possibilities not only for reflection of mind, psychology, and emotions, but for going beyond the mind. And if the mind is quiet, we give ourselves a break. Because it's a lot the mind that keeps the body busy and creates a lot of trouble. If we manage to calm down the mind, then it's easier to go beyond the mind. If we go beyond this identification with this body-mind, there's a lot of harmony, balance, and peace. And when there's a peaceful space, then, of course, organically, there's a certain rest, a deep rest, which brings restoration, regeneration. And as they say in Ayurveda, even rejuvenation. I mentioned in the beginning of the story that these darkroom retreats in Ayurveda, the ancient Indian healing modality, these darkroom retreats are called Kaya Kalpa, ageless body, timeless body, and are famous for rejuvenation. I mentioned that we can see that the ancient yogis were the biohackers of the good old days. And I just wanted to tell you an exemplifying story to showcase that in the anecdote of my biographical experience to make that relatable. And indeed, when I came out from this 10-day retreat, I felt very restored on all levels: physical, energetic, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual. All 5 layers, the famous pancha kosha. 5 pancha kosha, body, 5 layers, 5 aspects of our being restored, centered, aligned. And it's quite a marvelous experience actually to come out of a darkroom retreat. Preferably one exits around sunset time, very slowly. The longer the retreat was, the better it is to have a very slow transition. To integrate this transformation which happened in this womb. It's, as mentioned, like a hibernation. And we come out a different being on the other end. It's a truly profound, transformative experience. A heart opening and frequently life-changing transformation. So coming out in the sunset time, maybe even to be on the safe side with some sunglasses, some shades to not overwhelm the eyes, over flooding with too much brightness. And then especially in the golden hour of the sunset light, the beauty, the majestic perfection of nature is very apparent. It's very much obvious because haven't seen anything in days and weeks. Just blown away in awe of the mind-boggling, overwhelming beauty, the colors, the magnificence of Mother Nature. And other human beings. I remember my friends picked me up, my partner picked me up. It was like a firework, almost like a psychedelic experience. In my early days, late teenage and 20s times, I was a lot onto psychedelic substances and going strong into these adventures, into the wonderlands of consciousness, substance-induced. And in many ways, what I recreated in my 30s on these tropical islands and in these monasteries and ashrams in Asia is the freedom of entering into altered states of consciousness without biochemical substances and still having these amazingly profound experiences. Going deeper and deeper, beyond the limitations of our ordinary thinking. Not only thinking outside of the box, but in a way living outside of the box. And at the same time, integrating this ancient wisdom into the modern life context. So it was not just hiding on a lonely mountain. I did that also. Another day I'll tell you more stories about a 49-day jungle retreat, sitting alone for 7 weeks on a rock. So in some ways hiding a bit from the modern overwhelming intensity of technology and all the rest of it. I remember, for example, it was 2008, one of those years when I was living there on the small island. And I remember one of the resort owners was telling me, "Boka, the economy is down. I was like, what is he talking about? And I didn't really understand what he's referring to. Only afterwards, in hindsight, I understood 2008 was the economical crisis, the crash of the stock markets, Wall Street, whatever. I didn't even know about it. He had less tourists coming to his resort, so he was aware of it. But we were living this kind of independent hippie life on this wonderful island. So yes, it was hiding a bit, yet we were not completely protected from modern surroundings. Of course, we were using technology and were exposed also to the intensity of projects, manifesting things, the website of the yoga school, and online marketing and projects, and no, all the demanding aspects of modern life. So we were not just completely isolated in this middle of nowhere nature setting. So it was in a way the contrast between also these monthly 10-day silent meditation retreats and then having to catch up with life in the other 20 days of the month and organizing, like I said, project management, online marketing, coordination, team meetings, this, that, things going wrong, conflicts between people with different opinions, all the rest of it. And yes, I could apply there also what I learned in my 20s, where I studied psychology and psychotherapy in Germany. I could apply these coaching practices which I developed in my 20s, this modern understanding and innovative strategies, which I summarized in a master's thesis, is full university research and the full-fledged thing of the Western context. I could apply it also in these spiritual surroundings of the alternative tropical island life and learned how to bring together the best of the cutting edge modern strategies, life coaching approaches, combining that with the living tradition of yoga, not just with the dusty, conservative, dogmatic, old fashioned scripture tradition, but with the living tradition, the ongoing yoga research as we were cultivating it. And in this context, I brought together those two worlds. And I was working, for example, as a relationship coach. People were experimenting with open relationships. And then they were, of course, getting into a lot of emotional trouble. And then I tried to advise, counsel, and coach them, mediate between the partners, using the best of the good old days, the ancient wisdom tradition, all the detachment, the surrender, the neutral attitudes coming from the contemplative meditation practices, using the ancient technology and combining it with the modern psychology, psychotherapy, life coaching approaches, and making it useful, applicable, for example, in the context of these couple relationships being challenged. So many lessons were learned over those years and decades. And there's a lot of deeper understanding which one can find in such dedicated research. And there are many valuable lessons which were learned in these times. Not only studying so many of the ancient scriptures and of the modern cutting edge research in the field, but also sitting with living legends, with masters, spiritual teachers, and wise beings, sages in Asia, absorbing all their wisdom and trying to integrate it, absorb it, and make sense of it in my own life, and share it in this vibrant community, teaching on an ongoing basis, coaching, guiding other people. So this transformative journey was having a strong impact on my life. Years and years of this dedicated practice, of these transformative surroundings where everybody was growing, evolving, upgrading, people having energetic openings, chakra blossomings, and full intensity of Kundalini awakening, and many friends going so strong in their practice. Some of the friends were like practicing up to 8-10 hours of yoga and meditation per day, 7 days per week. But kind of the baseline in the community was kind of like 3-4 hours per day. You should at least practice. Every morning you stay at home and practice there. So, very transformative, very strong intensity. And the equation is simple: do the practice and get the results. If you put in the effort, you will receive the fruits, the outcome. And the equation is simple: you put in a lot of practice, you get a lot of results. And you put in huge amounts of dedicated practice, you get huge amounts of benefits. Simple as that. It's not as linear and as simple as that, but you understand the principle. So, life circumstances don't only always allow for this intensified practice. And then wherever we are at, whatever we can do is fine. And there's a famous saying in spiritual traditions of Asia: no effort is ever wasted. Even a little practice with pure intention, with a dedicated heart, with the sincerity of our intention, even a little practice can take us a long way. It's not about the quantity. So don't get turned off. Don't worry if you say, like, yeah, but I only have 23 minutes per day. No, to be honest, I only have 7. But no, I want to make at least half an hour. And it's like, you're fine. Wherever you are at, you might be a mother. And you do many hours of karma yoga every day. And in this selfless service, you might learn a lot more about this detached, surrendered, selfless service for your child than I learned in these years in retreat centers. Because the question is, how much do we actually become more humble? How do we actually overcome the arrogance and pride of the ego? How can we really detach? And we're talking here not about letting go of this and that a little bit, but about an existential detachment known as surrender, which you and your family surroundings might learn more when getting up at 3:49 a.m. to care for the baby, or some other life circumstances where you are confronted with the need for selfless service. There can be deeper lessons learned about detachment and surrender in that real life scenario than I could have learned them hiding on a tropical island in kind of idealized surroundings, seemingly supportive. So it's not an either or. Any path which is dedicated, which has this sincerity, any endeavor and aspiration which is cultivated from this purity of our intention, when we sincerely aspire to live with an open heart, and we really also take active steps in this direction, and we really allow ourselves, when it's time, to cultivate this serenity of detachment and surrender, any dedicated practice can bring us closer to the source, to the essence, to the supreme being of the universe. So wherever we're at in this journey, we can benefit from our modern inspirations and innovative strategies, lifestyle trends, technologies such as the mentioned wearables, biohacking, biofeedback devices, and so on. We can benefit from the best of the modern, latest cutting edge technology and tips and tricks and life hacks. We can benefit from those, and we can benefit from the timeless ancient wisdom. Because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. As mentioned initially, sages, yogis, seers, philosophers, wise grandfathers have been there and done that. And they discovered the deeper essence. And they found out in hard learned lessons, in hard-earned attempts and many failed attempts, where the shortcuts are and where we are getting lost in dead ends and detours, wasting our time and effort. So the invitation is to learn from this ancient wisdom so that we don't need to start from scratch. Acknowledging that we are standing on the shoulders of giants. These sages, these masters, yogis and seers, who've walked the path before us, who've been going so strong in their dedicated practice, who've given their heart, who've given their blood, who've opened their heart on all levels to go above and beyond, who dedicated their entire lives. It can be very valuable for us to receive these pearls of wisdom. And then we, of course, need to reinterpret them and make them useful, meaningful, and practically applicable for our modern life circumstances. So, this is the invitation of yogic life coaching. A holistic form of coaching, integrating the different areas and aspects of our entire being, and in a way accelerating, supercharging, or at least inspiring our modern Western perspective on our life with the ancient wisdom traditions, with the technologies of the classical yoga, with the authentic, time-proven modalities as they come from Ayurveda, the sister science of yoga, dedicated to the healing. Same as the yoga therapy has decades and centuries of experience of healing not only some small stiff neck, shoulder, but tackling also bigger chronic diseases. Metabolic imbalances such as diabetes can be tackled with yoga therapy and Ayurveda. And this is done in India in yoga hospitals. One of the famous research places is the Lonavala Institute, where we find more than a century of research in that field. So, in other episodes, I will share more of these healing modalities, how they can help to benefit our body, our energies, our emotions and mind, and how we can also go beyond body and mind into the existential bliss of spiritual awakening. I'm very much looking forward to the next episodes where we will discover more practical applications so you can actually benefit from these technologies and modalities. And I'm also looking forward to share more stories from these decades of Asian yogic adventures. So feel free to also ask questions in the comments below, and I'll be sure to read all of them and try to answer the most exciting ones in upcoming episodes. So we keep it relatable, and one of my missions is to make it in a way personal and to be more open, relatable, transparent, and vulnerable, to share not only my yogic hero stories, but also the challenges, to make it more human and tangible. I trust that you found some inspiration in this combination of the best of the good old days with a modern cutting edge technology. And I'm very much looking forward to the next steps of this modern yogic adventure. And I'm wishing you all the best. And I encourage you to not only listen to these podcasts, but also try out some of the practices, the asana sessions, the meditations, the pranayama classes, which we are sharing freely and abundantly with you on our YouTube channel. So please subscribe and maybe even sign up for our monthly calendar, where we keep you in the loop and tell you about our latest publications and new episodes and practical tips and tricks for your yoga in daily life. So that was Wisdom in Motion and another wonderful episode of the Spirit of Yoga podcast. My name is Burkhard, and I'm truly thankful that you stayed all the way to the end. And I promise to share more inspiration in the weeks and months to come. All the best from Bali. Namaste.